Hello, church. We are thrilled for the opportunity to get back to in-person worship here at Holy Trinity. I, along with the elders and the staff, have taken the past couple of weeks to consider and determine what we believe to be the best way forward in making this happen, considering all the logistics as well as all of the guidelines in place. But before I go any further, before I start talking about all the details, let me first preface all of this. One of the few reasons why I have a Facebook account, for instance, is so that I can get a glimpse into the lives of my people, to see some of the thoughts, the perspectives, and the goings-on in the lives of the flock in which I've been entrusted. And I've got to say, just like the rest of the country, from my observations, this congregation is pretty mixed in terms of how serious people are taking this whole thing, the pandemic that we've been in for the past few weeks. So, I recognize that there are some of you who, on the one hand, will continue to be extra cautious and maybe will choose not to attend until June at the earliest. And perhaps you will disagree with the decision to resume in-person worship at this time. And I completely respect your opinion, and I support whatever precautions you deem necessary for your own situation. At the same time, I recognize that there are others within this congregation on the complete other end of the spectrum who question the entire validity of the numbers purported regarding the virus, as well as the quarantine measures that have been implemented these past several weeks, and the constitutional rights of such things. To you also, I say, I respect your opinion, and I support your right to your opinion and the actions that you take therein. But regardless of where you stand on this issue, I'm not here to argue one way or another. Seeing the varied points of view on this matter, the elders and I are simply acting upon what we believe are the best measured procedures for phasing in to in-person worship once again, implementing the guidelines mandated for resuming this in-person worship. So what follows are the actions and procedures that will be in place for the foreseeable future until mandated otherwise. We know that the decisions that are made, that I'll be saying right here, will not please everyone. That's just the reality. But we must take action based solely upon the information and the guidance offered to us by those in authority, and not based upon fears, nor upon conspiracy theories or about constitutional rights. I hope that you can respect and sympathize with the difficult decisions that have been implemented. Now, all that aside, let's get to the fun stuff about how we can resume in-person worship practices and how that will go. For starters, we will hold both traditional and modern services, but for both services, here are some following rules and things that will be guiding us. First, if you are feeling unwell, you're coughing, sneezing a lot, you have to blow your nose often, please consider staying home during this time. You may not have anything at all, it might just be allergies, I get it. But for the sake of the conscience of others, again, please consider staying home. We don't want a witch trial going on here. 2, because we are required to implement social distancing among family units within services, seating for participants is going to be limited. That's just how it has to be. I'll get to those numbers in a moment. You will be receiving an email allowing you to RSVP for what service you wish to attend. I know, what a weird thing to have to RSVP for worship. But these are the days and this is the reality in which we live. So this email will come from our new communication software called Realm. So if you get an email that says Realm on it, that's it. Click on that. You'll also be able to find the link for RSVPing through the e-news, for our website, and through social media as well. Nevertheless, this would be a good time to make sure that we have an updated email and your preferred email on file as well. So you might even want to sign up for the e-news or like our Facebook page or Instagram, follow us, things like that. It's a good opportunity for that, just so you don't miss it. Now, because space is limited in services, if you sign up but then you can't attend, please, please, please notify us as soon as you can, so that way we can reach out to someone who's on our waiting list, if you will. If we have an overwhelming number of people who desire to attend beyond what we can hold within either the sanctuary or Luther Commons, we'll start to consider alternative plans. We have some in mind, but nothing's in place yet. We want to see how this goes the first week. We'll keep you updated. Number 3. This one's maybe controversial for some. We will be requiring masks for all in-person worship participants. So if you need a mask, there will be a way for you to let us know that through your RSVP. And that way we can work to provide you with one. We have a few folks who have volunteered to make masks, so we have that option available. If, however, you refuse to wear a mask, you may certainly do so from the comfort and the luxury of your own home. So, number 4, for those of you who wish to stay home, we will no longer be pre-recording the traditional services for the time being, assuming that our live stream is working. We'll be live streaming the service on Sundays at 8:15. You can watch through our website or Facebook page, and it will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel. We will, however, have pre-recorded Bible studies available, our children's lessons, and the modern service will be ready and available for you as well. Speaking of Bible study and children, per the governor's orders, in-person Sunday school will not be held until at least June. Moreover, the nursery will not be open and busy bags will be unavailable for children until June at the earliest. Number 6, we will have plenty of hand sanitizer on hand, but we would encourage you to bring your own little mini bottle of hand sanitizer as well, just to limit the number of people touching the same thing. Number 7, as tempting as it's going to be, there will be no gathering in the narthex, unfortunately, or down the hallways, things like that for people to chat and catch up and see how things are going. You are welcome after service, before service. You can hang out in the parking lot at a safe social distance apart from one another in these more open air settings, but just not indoors in our facilities, please. So, those are some of the general guidelines for all of the services. Let me talk about the traditional services that we'll be having. Starting on May 17th, we'll begin by holding 2 traditional services, roughly 45 minutes each in length, and they'll be in the traditional sanctuary at 8:15 and 10 o'clock. Again, 8:15, that's our usual time, and then 10 o'clock will be the second time. Prior to the service, all worship participants are asked to enter into through the south link. That's the area between the sanctuary, and the education wing of our facilities. So the south link, please enter there. From there, you'll be ushered into the sanctuary by one of our elders. All worship participants will be ushered out after the service through the main entrance by the portico, where we've been doing drive-through communion. And we'll be releasing you and ushering you out incrementally in order to, again, keep a safe social distance. So that time in between services, I mentioned it's going to be about 45 minutes in length, the service will be. So from 8:15 to 9 o'clock, that will be the service. And then from 9 to about 9:30, 9:45 or so, that will give us enough time to usher people out of the service, to run this special fog machine that we have that disinfects the whole place. This is hospital-grade disinfectant, and so it's presumed to kill any virus-type things that might affront us. And it'll allow that a little bit of time to dry on the cushions and such, and then it'll give us enough time to usher people in for the next service. So that's why the timing is the way that it is. Next, based on the governor's guidelines for seating family units, and the guidelines are that they have to be 6 feet apart per CDC rules, and every other pew as well. And so in order to do that, it's this strange numbers game that we've had to figure out. We had big help with the elders as well as Robert Stice, our facilities manager, and we've estimated that we can get around 120 people into the traditional sanctuary at one time. 120 people. So that's the number we're working with. To ensure adequate spacing between family units, the elders are going to escort you into your seat. And once again, because we're limited on the number of available seats, 120 per service, so only 240 for the 2 services on Sundays, we will need to, again, I'm just repeating this, we will need to receive the RSVPs for attendance. So we also need you to be here right at the 8:15 mark, so that way, since that's our live stream, we won't have someone ushering you in the middle of the service, things like that. So for those of you who are a little bit later on things sometimes, coming in after the first hymn, this is your warning. 8:15, be on time, please. We will be having communion for these services on Sundays each week, but we'll continue to do so by way of drive-through communion. We were trying to figure out how we could feasibly do it with people, since we're requiring the masks and then suddenly we're having you touch your face and take the mask off. It just wasn't working out. So we decided, why reinvent things? We've got a good system in place with the drive-through communion. So for the foreseeable future, we'll continue to do communion by way of drive-through. So after each of the services, those 2 services on Sundays, we will have, you'll be ushered out. You can go to your vehicle and we'll serve you drive-through communion. For those of you who will not be in attendance, you choose to stay at home for services for whatever reason, you can come and receive drive-through communion from 11 o'clock to noon. 11 o'clock to noon for drive-through communion for everyone else. Now, on to the modern service rules and procedures. As I mentioned, we will continue to have our pre-recorded modern service available on Sundays. However, in order to do that, we have to record in advance. And so we are inviting a select few number of people to be present for the recording. The recordings take place on Thursdays. So starting this coming Thursday, May 14th, we'll be inviting a few of you to join us for in-person worship here at Holy Trinity. It'll be in Luther Commons, and unlike the traditional service, the entrance and the exit will be the same for this service. So they'll both be at the South Link doors. Again, we'll have signs for these things indicating where to enter and exit from. Once again, all worship participants will be ushered in and out as well. And because of the closer quarters of Luther Commons, as well as the sensitivity of the mics and the fact that we're recording and we'll have some cameras set up in a few areas, we are putting a minimum age requirement of at least 5 years of age for this service, just because, I'll be honest, my kids couldn't handle it, squealing and talking and running around. That's just the reality in the Meyer household. Hopefully you can understand that. Based on the governor's guidelines, once again, seating 6 feet apart, every other row, we've estimated that we can get 40 people into Luther Commons at one time. And so to ensure adequate spacing between family units, again, like I said, elders will usher you in and seat you in your place. Since we're limited on available seats, once more, we need to have those RSVPs. We're still determining whether or not we'll have communion for this service or not. At this time, though, please plan on attending the drive-through communion on Sundays between 11 a.m. and noon. And if we end up serving on Thursday's communion, then it'll just be a nice little surprise gift of grace. With that, I'm finally done. There's a lot thrown at you. We'll have this document available, what I've been reading from, so you can read a little bit more. And we pray God's blessings on you and on the in-person worship that will be happening. And once more, we pray for an end for this pandemic. God bless you all.